Welcome back to Morning Brew with the Homeowners. I'm your host, Dmitry Lipinskiy. I have been a contractor my whole adult life, and today I'm helping homeowners with anything related to home improvement projects, dealing with the contractors. We have some spicy stories usually on the show today. I have a very, very special guest in the studio today, Crutcher, all the way from Texas. You have the most Texas company name, OutBack Roofing. Welcome to the studio, brother.
Thanks, Dmitry. Good to be here, man. I love the weather.
Absolutely. He's making fun of us. It's raining. Weather is good. Minnesota, I love our 4 seasons. 4 seasons are awesome. You can have your 2 seasons. Is it 2 seasons in Texas? 1 season in Texas? Always summer?
I think it's just always hell season.
Always. Love it. So, no, it's too hot for me. I love Texas in the summertime, but I would not want to be there in the summertime.
We should have been there yesterday. 100 degrees. 100 degrees.
Already?
May 18th, 100 degrees.
No, winter. Only winter. Travel to Texas in winter. So today we are talking about insurance policies. We'll help you understand insurance claims, insurance paperwork. We'll talk about supplements, policy terms, deductibles, inspections, re-inspections. Chris is absolute expert and consumer advocate when it comes to insurance claims. Let's start with policy terms 101. Chris, explain RCV. What's RCV, or replacement cost value?
Well, the RCV is pretty much your entire recoverable amount of monies and funds that are due to you after a insurance claim. And it's very important that when you do go out here and you actually buy a policy, that you know that RCV is recoverable. And if you got a roof, and we'll just put it this way, if it's a $100,000 roof and you have a deductible that's $1,000, well, you would be owed $99,000. $1,000 less to be your deductible, but you should be entitled to 100% of those funds. And that's what the recoverable value is for an insurance policy.
How about ACV, actual cash value?
Ooh, that's not your friend. ACV is not your friend. Out of the 100,000, let's just say that you had your roof for this reason, 15 years. So if you had a 30-year roof, you had it for 15 years. And if it was a $100,000 roof, you would only be entitled to the ACV, which would be the actual cash value. That would be a depreciated value worth half of the money. And there is a factor that these insurance companies actually use. And that factor can be applied in different ways. And it all depends on the kind of policy. But actual cash values would be basically your settlement. That's what you're going to get at the end of the day, your settlement less a deductible.
So if you have $20,000 roof, but your roof is 10 years old, your roof is not worth $20,000. It might worth $10,000 because you already have 10 years out of your roof. So they're only going to give you a check for that amount. ACV must be cheaper policies, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends, I guess, the state. Nowadays, I don't think anything's ever cheap. But for sure, I mean, the ACV policy, because it doesn't pay for the full amount of the roof itself, it's going to have a depreciated value. So yeah, you would get, a prorated portion is what we like to call it.
How is it different from cars and vehicles? How would you explain to our homeowners? Because if I have a 20-year-old car and it breaks down, insurance does not own me brand new car. It owes me 20-year-old car, right? Mm. But with the roof, if I have 20-year-old roof, for insurance companies, they argue that we don't owe you for brand new roof because your roof is 20 years old. You have 1 year left, and now hail destroyed it, and you're asking for the entire thing again. So now I see why they're pushing ACVs. Do you see it as a trend in Texas?
Oh, absolutely. We now see not just ACVs, but we're seeing this factor that's being sold as a replacement policy. So they're basically saying, we're going to give you 100% of your roof, replace it, but we're going to factor it out. I'll be honest with you, I think it's a bait and switch game at this point because it's truly an ACV policy. They've just figured out, the insurance world has figured out with great attorneys, and they have great attorneys on how to change the verbiage. And if you can change the verbiage and then you can package it to make it smell good and it passes the test, at the end of the day, they're going to want to sell you a policy that says replacement, but actuality, it's actual cash value. And actual cash values are hot policies right now. It is in Texas, the values of our homes have went from let's say a house that was $300,000 today is $1 million. And you go to say you got a 1% policy. Well, 1% would get you $10,000 deductible. We see 3% policies. That's a $30,000 deductible. You're self-insuring. So people really should just read their policies, and they always say buyers don't read and readers don't buy. And that is so true. And in insurance, we're seeing a big trend. That's why we've learned that public adjusters have now found their ways into our industry, because people don't know what their policies read, and they don't know how to recover the money that they think that they're owed.
Can you give advice to the homeowner how to shop for insurance policy, how to find insurance, how to read it? Is it an agent who should be helping you? Is it ChatGPT should be helping you?
Wow, who to trust? I mean, who do you trust as a homeowner? I think that, you have to find a good broker. And if you can find a good broker and look for the good companies, I mean, right now, if you go out and watch television, what's going on at Capitol Hill, you can see who's not getting favorable reviews right now. I don't know if I'd want to put my money with some of these companies, but I would research them. I would go out and I would look online. I'd call the Texas Department of Insurance and look and see, especially in Texas. I don't know if it's different here where you're at, but I would look to see how many complaints that there are against these companies. I mean, strongly, I believe that you have to advocate for yourself as a consumer, but also call your roofing contractors, because we know at the end of the day who's buying and who's not.
Roofing is like the biggest category, and it makes sense because if you think about your homeowner insurance, roofing, in the Midwest at least, is number one item that will be destroyed in case of storm, hail, wind, all of those things. What about depreciation? Can you define depreciation?
Depreciation would be the loss holdback money that will not be paid to you unless you were to complete the project. So you can take a settlement offer. It's kind of like if you got hit in a car and they said, okay, we're going to give you $20,000 for your car. But the car, if you replaced it, we would give you $30,000.
Would you say a lot of homeowners don't understand depreciation when they see that insurance check? They think it's all they get.
Yes, that is it. Once they see the checks, anything within the policy has no reasoning. I mean, they're just throw it out the door. But for sure.
Happens all the time. So we have to educate them. Contractor have to explain. Someone have to explain, because you're not going to get, and sometimes it's bigger. Like second check, oftentimes bigger than first check. Sometimes first check is just a couple $1,000s. If it's very old roof, if your roof is 20 years old, you might get a couple thousand up front and the rest of it in the back. Not always the rule, but it really varies. And what about giving contractors those checks? Signing over?
Oof. I would strongly suggest just not handing over a check to any contractor. I don't think a license or anything else would help you at that point if you just give someone your money. I think the reality behind it is do your due diligence yourself, and don't hand over a check to someone that you have not vetted. I mean, and I think the consumers have to go out and do some sort of education. And competition is great. Call different roofing contractors across the state. Good contractors are out there. You just have to find them.
Absolutely. So give me a couple examples. So what do you usually see for depreciation in Texas? Like what kind of amounts it's usually, and what's non-recoverable depreciation?
Non-recoverable is basically money you're never going to get back. So if you had a $100,000 roof, you used it for half its life, well, you just lost the other half. So the $50,000 is gone. So, I mean, that's where you're...
What's the difference between non-recoverable and ACV policy then? Because actual cash value, so that's part of it, right? Like non-recoverable depreciation is part of ACV.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, when we come back, we will talk about the one thing that homeowners are always responsible for, and it's deductible. Deductibles are asked to be covered by contractors all over the United States. A lot of homeowners don't understand them. Don't go anywhere. We'll cover everything you need to know about deductibles when we are back. Never pay your contractor in full before the work is done. But here's the thing, a lot of homeowners still get caught in that trap. Directorii works with the PayKeeper to make sure that does not happen. When you hire a contractor, your payment goes into escrow. It's only released when the job is finished, and if something goes wrong, your money is protected. The best part is very, very affordable, less than 1%. Find your next contractor and pay safely on Directorii.com, an official partner of PayKeeper. And we are back discussing insurance policies, how to read them, how to understand them. If you are a homeowner, have Chris here all the way from Texas. He knows all about deductibles. And Chris, I want to ask you this, like, why deductible is so hard to understand even for roofers? Why so many roofers offer to cover deductibles, especially in Texas?
I think the biggest thing is they're just desperate. Contractors are desperate.
Because it's competitive?
Competitive. I mean, I think that, guys are looking for a competitive edge and they feel like they have to sell out their industry. And when they do that, it becomes a desperate practice. And I think when you first start in your business, I think that deductibles are the only way that they feel as they can compete. And when you're competing with a deductible, what you're basically having to do is you're having to fraud the consumer. I mean, you're going out here, you're taking from money that's been given to you by an insurance company that you've paid for, it's rightfully yours, but everyone's deductible was different. I mean, and I think this whole thing of deductibles came to play years ago when you would have a $250, $500 deductible. Now you've got tens of thousands of dollars worth of deductibles. So that I don't believe ethically you can, number one, I don't think you can stay in business 6 months if you eat deductibles. I just don't see how in the world it's going to happen. At my company, we 100%, you pay your deductible, we replace the roof. No questions, no ifs, ands, buts about it. That's the method, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's no different than going to the doctor and asking your doctor to do surgery, and they're going to go, oh, okay, we'll wheel you back here, but you need to also pay your copay, or we're not going to see you in the back room. But we can hold out on your surgery.
Absolutely. Let's role play. I want you to explain deductible to the homeowner who comes to you with this. Chris, I'm pretty sure I already paid deductible. I've seen, an insurance check. Like I've seen the numbers. Like a lot of homeowners like to play a little dumb that they didn't understand. I give you everything my insurance gave you. Like I paid my deductible already. How do you explain to a homeowner what is deductible and why they have to pay, why it's not included in that original check?
Well, I always like to tell anyone that to ask us to go, well, we've already paid the deductible. And my first thing is, well, let's call your insurance company and ask them. That's just the easiest way to do it. And let the adjuster explain to them that they paid less the deductible. They don't pay the deductible. There's a lot of misnomers on that. The insurance company is not going to pay your deductible. Now, I will say there are high-end luxury policies that I've seen out there where if you were to make a claim and let's say it was a $100,000 roof and you went over $50,000, that deductible was waived. I mean, so you don't see those much anymore, but those are with very high net worth individuals, and that would actually cover the entire amount. So a deductible wasn't into play. But in today's world, deductible is no different than when I like to always say it goes back to, your doctor. You walk in the door, the first thing they ask you for is your deductible. It's no different. We're the doctors of roofing. We're not just like roofing contractors at this point. It's not, and I don't think a lot of people want to always get involved in this insurance side of the business because there is a retail business, and that is what truly we are. We do insurance, but reality is roofing contractors are retail businesses. Mm-hmm. And so, it just so happens we accept deductibles, no different than body shops. So body shops will go out here and do your car, and they care less about your deductible.
I think the biggest difference is roofers, construction guys, or storm chasers in particular, they have trained their homeowners over the years that we waive deductibles. So body shops never did it, doctors never did it, but thousands and thousands of roofers came at the door and say, you don't have to pay. Or let me ask you this. This is controversial. I have a very strong opinion on it, but I wonder where you on it. Is it insurance fraud? If you say, I will cover your deductible if you let me put a yard sign in front of your house for a month. Marketing fee. A lot of guys will not openly say we cover your deductible, but they'll say, we'll do something for the deductible, and usually it's yard sign or for referrals or whatever. Not tangible. You cannot put value in it, but they put value in it because because that's how they try to get around it.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm not an attorney, so I can't give legal advice on that opinion. But I will say that in the state of Texas, where we're at, it is insurance fraud if you're eating deductibles. Now, define eating if you're covering them. To me, if you're attempting in any manner to go out here to fraud an insurance company and say that they've made payments which they didn't do, in the end, that's deductible fraud. So I'm not an attorney, and trust me, this is a topic you and I can talk about all day, every day. I believe that what they should do is, one, if there are deductible leaders out here, you know what? Put them to the test. Take them to court. Let's show what if it really is. I mean, case law I think is out there. I think there's some guys out there, but I think guys giving people upgrades is, to me, you're not eating the deductible. That's, if you want to lose your profit, that's your profit to lose. But for me, and what I see is, the deductible is part of the insurance. If not, don't do insurance work. If you're not going to collect deductibles, just do straight retail, hand them a bid, and let the consumer go out here and deal with the insurance company. If you want experts, then the consumer will go to the contractor and they are the experts. But understand, roofing contractors in Texas, where we're at, we have public adjusters. And there is a slippery slope when you're acting under these UPPA laws where you're practicing as a public adjuster. I think the method that we do at my company at OutBack Roofing is we stay in our lane. And I think, there's always a place for people to go out here and, deal with attorneys, deal with public adjusters. And the deductible thing is always pay your deductible. You get your roof done. That's my motto at my company, and I'm going to stick by that. And you know what? If not, I'll just do straight retail.
100%. Well, for my homeowners out there, I also want you to think about this. If you look at the numbers, if you look at the statistics, 80% of contractors, roofers, go out of business within 2 years, 95% within 5 years. And it might not sound like a big deal. They're profitable. A lot of homeowners like to count contractors' money. They say, well, you're working on a $20,000, $30,000 job. You can cover $1,000. I've heard a lot from homeowners pushing it, saying, you'll be fine. It's a big claim. You have a lot of profit, but you will be surprised if contractor does one roof a day, 5 days a week, and he eats deductible on every single job. That's $5,000 a week. I don't want you to ever think that contractors make, yes, roofers do make millions in sales, but 30% of it goes to materials. 30% of it goes to labor. There's big overhead that, when you ask your roofer for that $1,000, $1,500, and, sometimes a couple $1,000. When I was a contractor here in Minneapolis for 7 years, I've literally have homeowners say, Dmitry, I don't owe you anything. It would be like $1,800 final bill. You did okay on my project. Like counting my profit. And I'm like, if every homeowner would do it to me, I would be out of business.
For
and
sure.
Unfortunately, some contractors are dumb enough not to understand their profit margins, their overhead. So They are doing it, but that's the reason we have this statistics of failure of 80%. It's crazy.
Right.
Do you want your roofer to be in business 2 years from now? If you do, never ask to cover deductible.
100%. I mean, the margins in our industry, though, have shrunk. I remember when I got into roofing, the first thing I remember is funny, you had these 30%. I remember it was 25% labor, 25% material, and 50% profit. Those were the great days. But let's go back 24 years ago. And deductibles were $250. So you had a business that actually was very sustainable back then. Today, you actually have so much software that's out here that is weaponized against the contractor. So you're only as good as what one person can actually use the software that they're using, especially the insurance companies. And, we see bids all over the place. And I think the homeowners, they don't understand the documents that come from the insurance carrier. If they did, then I don't think there would be a need for roofing contractors to go over it and discuss it with them. But the margins have shrunk. And our insurance, workers' comp, general liability, the things that you need to have as far as like with your roofing company, those haven't gone down.
Plus inflation in general. I mean, we used to pay $30,000 to drive a truck. Today is $100,000 to drive a truck, right? Like everything increased. Plus
Everything.
you have a soft everything. What's the biggest deductible that you've seen in your lifetime or like as a contractor?
I did a roof here about 3 years ago, and it was a $60,000 deductible.
How big was the roof?
It was about 225 squares, 22,000 square foot home.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know whose house it was? It was Deion Sanders, his original home when he went to, when he became a Dallas Cowboy. And my client actually bought it. He was the third owner after Deion, or second owner after Deion.
Very cool.
And I did that roof for them.
$60,000.
$60,000.
Think about covering that.
Yeah, you ain't covering it. I promise you. You're not covering that deductible. But and the good homeowners realize it's even better than deductibles. Forget about the deductible thing. It's all about quality. This homeowner didn't just see a $60,000 deductible. He saw the opportunity to put a better roof on and came out of pocket another $100,000 for a DaVinci product.
Wow. DaVinci is amazing roof.
I agree, 100%.
And you definitely see the trend that insurance companies are pushing for higher deductibles because they don't want to pay as much as they're paying right now. So it's definitely the trend. When we come back, we're going to cover supplements. We will help you understand this insurance billing process, why contractors supplement insurance companies, why insurance companies low bid, I would say, contractors in the first place. People don't understand that 30-40% is a national average shortage for initial estimate from insurance company. All of that when we come back. If you're thinking about upgrading your roof or siding, I highly recommend EDCO metal products designed right here in Minnesota. Their steel roofing comes with a lifetime warranty that is truly unmatched in the industry. It's made to look like traditional shingles, so you don't have to change the entire style of your home. The same goes for EDCO siding. It's tough, low maintenance, and comes in a ton of colors and styles. Check them out at edcoproducts.com. And we are back. Keep drinking our morning coffees. I keep dying from my seasonal allergies. Just discussing insurance claims with you. Yep. Let's talk, Chris, about supplements. What is insurance supplement? And do you agree with my stats that national average, this is what I hear from supplement companies. We have in the roofing industry quite a few companies who specialize in insurance billing because insurance companies shorten the first estimate. And the numbers I've been hearing from those supplement companies are 30% on average, 30 to 40%. Is that what you see?
I would almost believe it's more, but I'd probably
least
say that's a very accurate number for sure.
So here's what usually goes down, and this is educational piece for my homeowners. Usually, you look at your insurance company as a hero. You have a claim, something bad happened to your house, and you don't know how much it costs. If I tell you right now, hey, how much to paint that wall, you wouldn't give me a number. You don't know how much floors cost, drywall, roof, right? And insurance comes and writes you a check for $20,000 and give you 11-page estimate. Well, a lot of times it's hard to believe because it looks impressive and it sounds like a lot of monies, but you need to talk to the contractors. And usually insurance company also have this kind of beef with the contractors, like trying to portray contractors as greedy, always ask for more. But I want you to think about it. If they give you $20,000 and it costs you to do $20,000, there's no profit. Will contractor take the job? Probably not. It will be a dumb decision to take. So they'll take the job. They'll say, I'll do it. They'll ask you to sign agreement that they will work for your insurance company, and then negotiations will start. I'll give you one example. Years ago, in 2018, we have a storm here. My father-in-law lives in Champlin, and they have a smoke, hail, siding, everything. And I met adjuster on his house. He was actually from Texas. So a lot of times insurance companies will deploy their adjusters from one region to another. And I remember this guy, never been in Midwest, just finished estimate. It was $9,000 estimate. And I asked him right there and then, why there's no ice and water? That ice and water line is $1,000. So he's like, oh, I forgot. I'll add it later, right? And that claim went from $9,000 to $15,000, right? Just because he did it super quick. He's from Texas. In Texas, you don't have to do half of the items. You need to understand these adjusters. They work, a lot of hours. They miss items. They don't know local codes. They do something quick and easy. Right. They write a check. They write a claim. And then they hope someone will do it. The crazy part is you always will find someone to do it for that amount.
Right.
They either not going to be profitable or they're not going to do what they're supposed to do. So it's your right. I mean, I highly recommend you let your contractor supplement your company. It's not always a fight, right? Like sometimes
it doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be. Sometimes insurance pushes back. Sometimes we have to provide documentations and stuff. But supplements is okay. That's first thing that I want to establish here. When your contractor sends extra bills to insurance company, there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't mean he's greedy. It doesn't mean that he doesn't know what he's talking about. It doesn't mean it just means he's doing his due diligence. And oftentimes he literally points out to what's missed originally.
Absolutely.
What's your average increase? Is it usually over 30%? What's your process? When do you start the work? Do you start with the work right away, or do you wait for the supplements to finish, or how?
Well, I believe that you just document everything up front. That it's all about documentation. When you cattle call adjusters, is what I always like to call it in Texas. You cattle call them. You bring them in here. You cattle call them in. They come in. They do the best that they. Listen, these guys are under a lot of pressure. They're under a lot of pressure from their higher ups. They're under a lot of pressure from the homeowners, and they have numbers where they have to get to so many people so fast. I mean, each one of these adjusters pays or either fee scheduled or they could be staff. I mean, there's so many dynamics, but the supplement amount itself that when you look at, you have to define what the actual repair is. And if you don't take the time and you don't document decking that may not be a nettable surface, you don't have the ice and water shields that are codes. And, I don't expect every adjuster to know the building code, just like I don't believe that the contractors know their codes. I'm a code guy. So whenever they see a supplement from me, you see a code that says section R, blah, 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 whatever the number is, you're going to get the code. But I think what we have to do as contractors, good contractors will actually document everything, and they will write their estimate before you do the work. At least disclose what you're going to be doing while you're doing it. I like to go up front. I don't like there to be ambiguity, period. It's like if I know the decking is going to be compromised and I know I can't put the roof on and I'm 90% certain of that, I want to send every single thing. But personally, I don't personally send it. I make my homeowner send it. It's their policy. It's my recommendation, but my recommendation can always be supported. I give documentation. You have to supplement, document, provide it to the insurance carrier, and it's up to the insurance carrier to do the right thing. And if they don't do the right thing, which a lot of times they don't, then that's when you get involved with public adjusters and attorneys, and then the whole process becomes complicated. And that
cost even more money.
Absolutely. And you know what? That is where I see the industry has gotten smart with the insurance side. They want to hold us up because they have unlimited amount of funds to
deny, delay.
That's it. The 3Ds, But I mean, that's it. I mean, you want to come in here, you want to provide your estimate, just like a doctor pretty much knows what his surgical procedure is going to be when he goes in to do a surgery. Now, understanding that if there's a process in there and someone has cancer, you're not just going to stop. You have to perform the surgery that you have to do to protect your patient. And our clients are our patients. And for us, we're what what gets them through this bad time. And the supplements, you do have to supplement. And used to, you didn't have to. I mean, I'll tell you, 20 years ago, wouldn't even know what a supplement was. People wrote claims and they included overhead and profit on every claim. And then, you know what, there was always enough profit in there to where you didn't have to have supplement companies. Supplement companies have evolved because of what the insurance companies have done.
So insurance company created that third party that nobody needed, but now it's entire industry within the industry.
Yep.
Only because of, not because of the contractors, because of the insurance companies. And actually funny, you said, about deny delay. This week we all have heard hearings of Allstate, $65 billion company in front of the Congress. I absolutely loved it because everything we've been talking for years now on the big display. Hey, your CEO is making $30 million. Why you're not paying this $20,000 claim? Why are you asking your adjuster to manufacture, deny a report, manufacture the fake documents to deny them, right? How do you call it? Engineer reports, all of that stuff. Like insurance companies being exposed last few years, and I love it.
It's horrible. I'm just glad that I don't own an insurance company today. I would have loved to own one 10 years ago. Today, I'd hate to see the stock owners next month.
If they would only do what's right. And a lot of times adjusters who come to your house, they do what's right.
Absolutely.
That adjuster oftentimes
100%.
will say, I missed that, send it to me. You need to understand that some damages aren't visible until the tear-off begins. Like they're not going to see the damaged plywood. It's impossible to look at everything. And especially if we have 200,000 homes damaged after the hurricane or hail, they need time to adjust. And if they spend 20 minutes on a job, it's impossible to do the proper inspection. So oftentimes they will say, send me the correct one. And by the way, we used the same software. It's not like we're sending them this ridiculous estimates and our wishes. We literally have line items that insurance companies agree to. It's just they're so fast. Like we use the same software. We have the same boxes. They literally miss it most of the time.
Well, they try to reinterpret what their own software says. I mean, let's just, if it says we're going to tear off the shingles, we're going to put the shingles back on, and it includes felt. Well, those are the two items it includes. But the pipe boots are not part of the tear off. So that's a different line item. The overhead and profit, it's not included. So that's a different line item. So, I find it I can tell you this. I have a lot of respect for these guys that climb on these roofs because I'm 52 and I can tell you right now, I was just on a 12 by 12 roof before I got on the plane to come see you. And I can tell you right now, it doesn't get any easier. And so their job is not easy, and they're in an emotional state when they show up because they have to deal with consumers that are in distress. And I can tell you this, I really want to challenge everyone in the industry to really don't come to a adversarial position when you both show up. I think you have to be there. No one is there for themselves at this point. We're there for the consumer. And if the insurance companies will go back to being that way and contractors not being so overly aggressive with adjusters, I think that we can all figure out how to make this work. And I will say that what's happened in Washington is going to put a lot of these insurance companies and contractors are seeing it. They're going to have to change their business model.
Absolutely. I also want to give a big shout out to one of the companies I recommend and a lot of my roofers who maybe don't supplement insurance companies. Don't leave money on the table. It's your business. You need to be profitable. The more profitable you are, the more homeowners you can help. I recommend a company called Contractors Supplement Solutions out of Orlando. We visited them a couple of years ago. I know a lot of contractors who use them. Find a good supplement company. We used to have, full-time employee to supplement. It's literally another layer, another part of the overhead. You pay someone $80,000, $100,000 a year to do it. We have to supplement, and it's for that reason, some contractors charge a little bit more in insurance companies than on the retail because it's a lot of headaches. It's a lot of time consuming. The amount of follow-ups and stuff, you either don't do it or do it but charge for your time. It's not free. When we come back after the break, we have one last topic to discuss to give you some tips. It's re-inspections. What to do if you feel like you got a damage, you physically see the damage, but that first adjuster came, inspected, and he denied the claim. What are your options? We'll share everything we know.
Don't gamble with your money, folks, especially when it comes to your home. Hiring the wrong contractor is like playing poker with your life savings. One bad hand, and poof, your money's gone and your roof's still leaking. That's why I recommend Directorii.com. It's a free site that connects you with vetted, background-checked, financially solid contractors, real pros. And when you book through Directorii, your job is backed by a $20,000 guarantee. This isn't a roll of the dice, it's a smart move. Go to Directorii.com, that's Directorii with 2 I's, and hire with confidence.
And we are back. The last topic today, re-inspections. What do you do if your insurance company say you don't have a damage? Your roofer says you do have a damage. What are the options? Chris, what's your protocol? What do you advise your homeowners to do?
Definitely listen to your roofer. Number one, God knows it. If you wouldn't call for a re-inspection if you truly did not believe that you can validate your reason for being there. At least I believe that's how we work at our company. I mean, OutBack Roofing believes that when we go to a contractor meeting with an adjuster, we can validate any and all instances that we need as far as doing the repair. And re-inspections have gotten to be where they're very hard to get good adjusters to come out. Nowadays, you have these ladder assist companies.
Yep.
And I don't know. I mean, do you seem that ladder assist companies tend to be a trend?
Yeah. They're definitely growing. Yes. Would you? My question to you is: would you compare second opinion or readjustments to? You know how when you get pulled over by police, you ask, "Can I talk to your supervisor?"
I don't get pulled over by police. Don't ask my wife that.
But do you know what I mean? Like it's sometimes when you get that second opinion, second person, a lot of times there's a lot of chemistry, like between adjusters, between the roofers. I feel like in my experience as a contractor, and Chris, you share your experience. In my experience, sometimes adjuster who comes first just jerk for the better word, he would come in like just not in the mood, denies the claim. Second one, night and day experience. See the damage right away, apologizes for the first experience, writes the claim. And you're like, what was that in the first place? So sometimes it just us as people don't connect. Like maybe it's a roofer and the first adjuster, but the second one is a different story. Does it happen to you?
Oh, all the time. You know, and one thing that I've done, depending on who the client is, I mean, you have to know who your client is that you're going to be going out here representing. And sometimes you just don't want, no offense to any clients and potential clients that I have, but not everyone is willing to fight for themselves. And, you know, I can go up here and show you the damage, but if you're not going to believe the contractor that's representing you, then you've probably chosen the wrong contractor. And I think that, you know, when we show up, supply the data, provide a very good report. I mean, the number one thing that I see in roofing is roofers are scared to write their own estimates. Why? We are a retail business. I hate to always go back to this. I understand that the insurance world would like to be in control of us, but we are retail industry and contract.
We should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And
is it a laziness, you think?
100%. Or, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't say that. That's not always true. I think it's lack of training. I think that contractors do not train their sales reps.
Incompetence.
And
they don't know how to.
Well, here's the thing. They're scared that if they do teach them too much, they'll go out here and start their own roofing company up.
That's true.
I mean, but the reinspection is so important. And I think that when you show up, and especially, you know, miraculously the hell appeared, you know, a week later when we hadn't had any storms because a guy just didn't take the time. I think that's the thing. We don't have adjusters anymore that truly adjust. What we have are individuals that are out here just collecting a paycheck. And to me, you're doing injustice. You do have a license. And I think this whole ladder assist program that's out here has really been a complete disservice to the end consumer. And And I know that, you can blame one for reacting to the other, but the insurance companies knew what they did. I mean, during COVID, they gave themselves a lot of leverage by hiding behind a ladder assist company that would go out here and do an inspection. And they sometimes miss the mark. But I also know this, if you're paying out too many claims, you're probably not going to be doing a lot of inspections for an insurance company.
100%. Here's what I want to address here. Just trend of the week. So we have Allstate CEO grilled by, Congress, and I want to bring it up again because for so many years, insurance companies did pretty good job portraying contractors as not trustworthy, greedy, because you need to understand when a debt adjuster says you don't have a damage, he usually going to say something about a roofer or a contractor who called you, advised you in the first place that you do have a damage. It's usually start of the conflict, start of the reputational attack, like, we're good guys, they're bad guys, you don't have a damage, right? But what we see this week and what we've seen many times before, there are more insurance fraud committed by insurance companies than by roofers. And I want to really put exclamation point on this statement, because nobody commits more insurance fraud than insurance companies.
First of all, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not going to agree to. I cannot. I cannot give an opinion on this one right here. I believe that there is a lot of people that have taken advantage of homeowners.
100%.
And I think it goes back to the insurance company. And I go over here to the contractor that I feel has tried to combat what they've been given from the insurance company. So it's always a cat and mouse game. I mean, this is what insurance has become, cat and mouse. I mean, I don't know. When I was a kid, I remember my insurance agent from my family would come in and sit down with us and go, "Oh, and by the way, here's your insurance policy. And you've got a $500 deductible. Oh, and we've got your life insurance policy. We're like a good neighbor. This insurance company is here, I don't see that. Now I see it, we're just a number. And unfortunately, our industry has become just a number. And we're not just numbers. You know what? We still are a retail industry that's here to protect the consumers. And, re-inspections are necessary. I wish we didn't have to continue to do this. And, as long as we're documenting as contractors for the consumer, a lot of people think that we're doing this for our paycheck. We have to live with ourselves when we install a roof. And if I put a roof on that I know the insurance company is going to fail, and I put a roof on a deck board that we know cannot support it, then at the end of the day, I'm a bigger crook than the insurance company at that point, because now I've lined myself with profit and not looking at the consumer. And I think that's where we have to go back to. The consumer deserves to be protected. They pay a lot of money for insurance, and these re-inspections are necessary. And if they weren't necessary, then, I don't believe contractors would waste time, because you think that we're getting a supplement. If you look at how much money and time goes into trying to pry $10 or $50 out on a pipe jack boot that was missed. And I mean, over time, we're arguing for hours over something that costs $10.
Absolutely. Usually I hear about 3 re-inspections. Is there a rule how many re-inspections you can get? You get denied first time, usually second or third. I've done many 3, when the roof got approved on the 3rd re-inspection. And it's frustrating with more, but is there more than 3 re-inspections?
I don't really know, to be honest with you.
Usually it's probably after 3rd when you get like lawyer involved or someone.
I don't let it get that far.
Yeah.
For me, my time is more important spending to help consumers and not try to be an attorney. I will literally look at the homeowner and say, I would love to work for you. And unfortunately, you're in a position that your insurance company is not going to do the right thing. At that point, I think it's just best to say, hey, these are associations at public adjuster firms that you should probably look into. They have attorneys, go look at the Texas Department of Insurance. I mean, go protect yourself. I mean, I'm a homeowner first. I mean, I do own a home. I do take myself away from being just a contractor and understand that, if I was in their position, I would like to at least know that I've got a place that I could go and ask for help. And I think that attorneys are great, and I think that public adjusters are great. And, now we have this appraisal network that's out here now. I mean, there's so many ways that you can go about protecting yourself. And I think the consumers just have to start relying on contractors that give them good advice and they know who to use.
Do you recommend homeowner always ask the roofers to be present?
I always do. I think that's always a good thing, unless, of course, you've met an adjuster and you know that regardless of what happens, he's blind to the fact he doesn't know what hell is. If I see a guy that I know just does not recognize what hell looks like, I don't waste my time.
Do you see big problem with vandalism in Texas? Is it growing?
Years ago, I would get calls from insurance companies saying, "Hey, can you go out here and tell me what's happened to this roof? We believe somebody's damaged it." I haven't seen that. I mean, in my areas, I would be very careful because I work in areas that are very luxury homes. I work with a lot of people, and then again, I work with people that are reliable. And so, if you just let somebody up on your roof you don't know, well, good luck with that one. I don't have a door knocking entity. That's not my business model. I'm 100% referral based business, and I have nothing against those that do go door knock. We all started someplace. I think that's a different business model than what I have. And, I think you just be the best guy and give the best advice, then I think your consumers will respect you. And I think that in the end, there's always a way to find common ground.
Absolutely. Well, great insights from Chris from Texas today. And we're going to wrap up the show. I highly recommend you get second opinion if your roofer convinced you that you do have a damage. Good roofer will show you pictures, documentation. It's not just going to be his opinion. It will be backed up by facts, by numbers. Do get second inspection, third inspection. If you need my help, you can text me. If you're watching on YouTube, all my information is in comments and in description. And I'll see you next Saturday.
If you're hiring a contractor and you're not using Directorii.com, you're playing with fire. Every week, homeowners lose thousands to shady roofers. No warranty, no protection, no way to get their money back. Directorii changes that. It's the only platform that backs your project with a $20,000 guarantee. Every contractor is vetted. Every job is covered. You wouldn't buy insurance after the accident. Don't hire a contractor without protection. Go to Directorii.com before you sign anything. Protect your home. Protect your wallet.